Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our next episode of Unprocessed Sugar. I appreciate you joining us. And once again, our guest is Nora Clemens, my dear friend and functional medicine nutritionist. Did I get it right?
You got it.
All right. So similar to our last episode, can you explain to our audience what exactly is a functional medicine nutritionist?
Yeah, so a functional medicine nutritionist has been trained to uncover the root cause of what's going on with people's health. I get a lot of calls that, people think nutrition can improve them, but then I need to do some research. And by doing proper testing, we uncover the root cause of what's going on. And of course, nutrition.
Right. And, that whole term root cause is something that I'm hearing more and more in medicine in general. It's something that people are looking for. They want. That's really the focus of functional medicine, is find the root cause. Don't just treat the symptoms, which unfortunately a lot of medical treatment in our country anyway addresses just the symptoms and not the root cause. So that's great. It's something that I'm learning a lot about. That's kind of why I'm here. The journey that we're on is to learn about the root cause of things and then let's fix them. And then what else can I do to not make things worse? And we're going to get into a little bit of that today. So today's episode is about fats and oils. And some myths will bust, some truths will solidify and come away with hopefully some good information to get to the root cause and make our lives a lot better. Yeah. So fats have been thought as being bad. If I eat fat, I'm going to get fat. It kind of was. When did fats become the enemy?
Yeah, well, somewhere in the 60s, there were some studies, which now we realize were flawed. Mm-hmm. And those studies were believed and utilized to change our whole food manufacturing. So fat was bad, so we had to eat no fat or less fat. And what do you think food manufacturers put in its place? One guess.
Sugar.
Yeah. And it wasn't unprocessed either.
Right.
It was very processed. So it was the beginning of a lot of ultra-processed foods, fat-free things. But really, fat is our friend. We need it. It's one of our main macronutrients: proteins, carbs, fats. So let's talk about fats.
Let's talk about fats. Yeah. To add to what you were saying, in the 70s, animal fat was so vilified they came up with fake eggs, egg beaters, which I don't know if they're completely fake, but they're processed eggs. Why would you do that? That's kind of nuts. So fats, we need fats, right? We need fats for our body to function properly. Yeah. What are some of the examples of why we need fats?
Yeah, no, like our brain is largely made of fat. I mean, who knew that? So, our brain needs fat. Our cell membranes need fat. We actually communicate. Fat serves as a communicator. Right. We need it to absorb our fat-soluble vitamins. We make hormones out of fats. We make enzymes out of fats. I mean, fats are just made and utilized in every single body process that we have.
Exactly. Yeah. The myelin sheath, which surrounds our nerves, is fat.
Correct.
As you said, the brain is the biggest concentration of fat in our body, I think, other than my gut, the gut I used to have. Yeah, right? Okay, so fats aren't also bad. Right. But there's some that might be better than others, and there's different types of fats. So, and I get confused: saturated, unsaturated, poly, mono, trans fat. I can't keep them straight. So let's start with saturated fat. What is a saturated fat?
Sure. Yeah. So to be clear, there's saturated, monounsaturated, and then polyunsaturated. And then trans, of course, is what man-made. Right. And we'll get to that last. But saturated fats come from animal products, typically. Okay. But there are some plant sources like coconut oil and palm oil. So, we can get saturated oil from fats. So we need to think about, they have a chemical structure. So we're going to just lay it out. And they're known as fatty acid chains. So saturated fats, just like coconut oil is solid at room temperature, it's a stiff chain. It's got no double bonds. So that's a little bit about, what types of fats. Animal fats, beef, pork, poultry, skin, and then, of course, all the fat that's in dairy, full-fat milk, full-fat yogurt. So those are all saturated fats.
Awesome. Now, do I need to be worried about how much I'm taking in? Can I get too much? Is there a minimum I want to have? What do I do about trying to monitor that?
Right. Well, I will keep it brief because that really is a almost like a program in and of itself. It is. But the bottom line is when it comes to fats and saturated fats and how much we want to have, we really should test and not guess how much we need. Okay.
Test and not guess. I like
Yes.
that. I've never
Yes.
heard that before. Right? We just throw
Right.
something at it.
Right.
And we don't
No.
even know if you're deficient or over.
And look, like, for example, my husband and I have totally different genetic patterns, which is what it's based on. And I have a line of genes that we all have low cholesterol. Okay. So I can eat as much saturated fat and butter as I want, and nothing's going to happen to my cholesterol. I've even had heart studies done. I've got no blockage. Okay. So I'm clean. My husband, on the other hand, didn't get so lucky with his genes. He's got familial high cholesterol. Okay. And so people, frankly, that have that genetic predisposition, if they eat too much, I'm not saying like a pat of butter on their toast, but if they eat too much saturated fat all day, then that will tell their liver to make more LDL cholesterol. And that could, come back to hurt them heart health wise.
Okay. And LDL cholesterol is the bad cholesterol.
It is the bad cholesterol.
Right.
But again, that's complex. And not just because you have high cholesterol doesn't mean you have heart disease. I mean, not everybody gets plaque. Again, test, don't guess.
Right.
Yes.
And now that's going to be a whole nother episode, cholesterol, but there's different LDLs because some aren't so bad, and there's a small and a large particle and things like that. So to just blanketly say LDLs are all bad is not true then.
So this likewise, saturated fat, there's camps that say, oh, saturated fats are not bad. And they're not bad. For some people, they can eat a moderate amount. Other people, they don't have to be so careful. So, you have to know your genetic predisposition and your test. What does your cholesterol profile look like?
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So then the next we
Saturated.
go to, all right, good.
Yeah.
So now in that animal category, because this gets a lot of press lately, is tallow.
Right, yes.
So is tallow okay to use?
I mean, it's a saturated fat, so
Okay.
if you choose to use it, I had a neighbor who boils beef bones and extracts tallow, and she gave me some tallow to use. So I hadn't used it.
Right.
So, experimenting.
I see a commercial on TV lately for a gal it's for a face cream. They're using it for face creams. But we use it for cooking, like instead of putting oil in the skillet or butter in the skillet, we'll put a little tallow in there. We haven't quite figured out the substitution to use it to make cookies or something like that.
Right.
But I know people do that too.
They absolutely do.
So just think of it, another animal fat.
Yes, like
and
butter.
Saturated. Like
Yeah,
okay,
like butter. Think of tallow like butter.
All right, awesome. So then the next was the monosaturated.
Right.
And what are some sources of monosaturated is a different chain and different.
Right.
You don't want to overwhelm people with too much science.
No, I know. But just briefly, monounsaturated are the darlings. They are avocado and olive oil.
Okay.
Good. Kind of easy.
Right. So olive oil, I've heard someone say it's the golden child
Yes.
of all the oils.
Yes.
But I'm sure in moderation, of course. But is it all good, or can olive oil have some bad aspect to it?
Well, olive oil and what it's made of has no bad aspects. So far, we have not found that olive oil is bad in any way. I think like anything else, as you well imagine, too much of any good thing is not good. And we have to remember that fats themselves are calorically dense. 9 calories in 1 gram of fat, and there's only 4 calories in 1 gram of protein and carbohydrate. So it's more than twice the calories that our carbs and our proteins are. So we have to eat a little bit, goes a long way.
Oh, I like that too.
Yeah.
So, and I also imagine it has a lot to do with how it's processed, how it's grown, how it's harvested, how it's processed, because that can take something that's not too bad for you and make it so it's not as good for you. Now, what about olive oil and extra virgin olive oil? Is one better than the other?
Right. So, extra virgin olive oil is better for us.
Okay.
So we can choose that. And I think the main thing with olive oil is you want to use it at low heat. Right. So we're talking, really low heat.
Well, what's low heat? 300? I mean, can you fry a steak?
No, you should not fry anything in it. Just a really low saute where it's not sizzling a whole lot.
Okay, I gotcha. So then you talk. I hear people talk about avocado oil being better for the high heat point.
Correct. It's got the high heat point, so you can, fry.
Okay. Okay, good.
high heat cooking. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question. I brought this up in another episode. Avocado oil.
Yes.
It's got a seed in it. So is that a seed oil?
Right. You would think it is.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good one. So it's not, because both avocado oil and olives are made from the flesh of the olive or the avocado, not the seed, because, as you know, olives have a pit, a seed.
Right.
So those pits are not involved in making avocado oil.
Oh my gosh, I light just went off. The seed oils are made from the seed.
The actual seed.
Oh my gosh, I feel like a fool.
No.
Right. So olive oils are not made from the pit, the seed. Avocado oils are not made from the seed. It's made from the flesh of the plant.
If you thought about it, somebody else is wondering about it.
Sure,
so
right?
I'm so glad you brought that up.
That's awesome.
It's not the pit.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if there's any brands or types that you may have a preference for, or I know probably organic and how they're processed. But on our website and a link, we're going to have a list of some brands that Nora said are better than others and that you would recommend. Okay, so now we're on the polyunsaturated.
There we go. So polyunsaturated is the third category. And there are the seed oils. So those are the infamous seed oils that, there are some camps, some people that believe that they are not beneficial. They're harmful to us. So think about soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, as an example.
Right. Canola.
Canola is another one.
I hear a lot about. What's canola oil made from? Is there a canola plant?
No, it's actually made from the rapeseed plant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So the polyunsaturated, there's omega-3s and omega-6s in them from what I've learned. And so omega-3s are the good omegas and omega-6s have been the bad omegas. But now I'm hearing that that's not necessarily true. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about what's the omega-3s do, what do the omega-6s do?
Right. Yeah, so with the omega-3s in particular, we didn't talk about flaxseed, which is it's a seed, right? So it is a polyunsaturated seed. That's a high source of omega-3. And actually walnuts, there is walnut seed oil, believe it or not, walnut oil rather. And so walnut and flaxseed are high in omega-3. So those are sort of our two plant sources of omega-3s. And there's some, fatty fish, but we're not talking about those sources. But in the plant world, you can get some omega-3s from flaxseed and walnuts.
So those would be an example of a seed oil that's not so bad for you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Because they're a polyunsaturated,
right,
but they have health benefits.
Okay. So then within that polyunsaturated, we have the omega-6s.
Right.
And I've always heard omega-6s cause inflammation. They're not good for you. But then I've just learned that our body doesn't make omega-6. So if we don't get any in our diet, we got a problem.
That is correct. So we shouldn't be so urgent to, not eat any omega-6 fatty acids because, like you said, we need them. But, we really only need a little bit, like, probably a teaspoon total prevents deficiencies. But, the fact is that omega-6s risk does show that they are beneficial. Part of how the confusion and maybe some of the seed oil demonizing began is that where you find seed oils, unfortunately, for the last 20 years or so, is ultra-processed foods.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where it stems from.
I believe so, to be honest. And so do a lot of the other people that sort of live in my world, functional medicine, that it's a combination of things. But they have done, researchers, scientists as they, have done studies to prove that omega-6s have health benefits in terms of anti-inflammatory, the very thing that they're demonized for. Also, they're good for type 2 diabetes. Okay, and cardiovascular disease. So there are plenty of studies out there if you want to go. There was one in the American Journal of the American Medical Association that just came out this year. I forget the month, but I reviewed it before this segment. And proving again, health benefits of omega-6s.
They're not all bad.
They are not. Right.
And then I've also heard that it has, again, how they're processed. High heat, they use hexane,
Yes.
which is a poisonous chemical.
Right, right.
It's crazy, right?
Right.
So if they're cold pressed, I think.
Yes.
So what's all that mean?
Oh, that's so important. So, because seed oils are quite inexpensive for manufacturers to use in making the ultra-processed foods, they just process them the easiest way that they can, which does include high heat and a chemical called hexane. And even though, they are supposed to have no hexane in it, there's a legal amount that manufacturers are allowed to have of hexane, if you want to have any. So therein lies the problem. There's still going to be such a transformation of these previously healthy fats, and now the antioxidants are gone. There's hexane in there. They've been exposed to high heat. So if you can get any one of those omega-6 oils that's been cold pressed, processed, then there's no hexane, no high heat, and now all the antioxidants are preserved and all the health benefits are there.
Oh, very nice.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So any seed oil recommendations? You kind of hit on them already. But you mentioned a couple, but I hear sesame seed oil is one of the better ones.
We
right?
left that out. Yeah. Sesame seed is out there and flaxseed oil. So those are two. And always check your bottle because there could be a manufacturer that produces sesame seed in a not so healthy way. So look, if it's cold pressed, it's always going to say cold pressed and typically on the front because manufacturers know that people are smart and those looking for a cold press will want to see it right in the front.
Okay. So they're going to advertise it
They will.
and put it out there. They know people want it.
Exactly.
All right. Now, you kind of mentioned something that makes me think about my emphasis on reading the labels on things.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to take a moment. There's a couple apps out there, the Yuka app
Right.
and the EWG app,
Right.
which you take a grocery shopping, scan the label, and it will give you a grade on it. It'll tell you some of
Right.
the goods, the bads about it.
Sure.
So it's really so important to just read what's in things.
Yes.
We've talked about this in past episodes. If it's got a number on it, like red dye number 6, or if it's got a big chemical name or a name you can't even pronounce,
Sure.
stay away from it.
Right.
But that app does all the work for you. So we're going to have a link on the website as well, and then we'll have it in the description of the video to those two apps, Yuka app and EWG app. And like I said, you just go to the grocery store with your phone and scan the labels, and then it takes a lot of the mystery out of things for us.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice. All right, good.
The EWG app also has like a personal care product part of it too. So I use that a
Okay.
lot when I'm shopping for other
Right,
things,
right.
and I check it out. So that's an excellent app.
Well, I haven't used it for
food
that.
and body products.
I'm usually
Yeah.
doing an internet search for non-toxic face things or non-toxic shampoos.
Right.
But that's nice to hear that I can do it with that same app.
They sure
that's
do.
awesome. Yeah. All right, good. So how do I balance my omega-3 and omega-6 in my diet? Is there like a secret or a trick, or is there, you got any tips for that?
Right. Look, we just clarified that if anything, the way that most Americans are getting maybe a disproportionate amount of high omega-6s, okay, is through ultra-processed foods. So in the first place, people have to start taking a look at, am I eating whole foods, partially, okay processed foods, or too many ultra-processed foods. So that's one way to reduce possibly the imbalance, because I want to talk about balance and ratios a bit. Doesn't that make sense right about this point? So not only do you just don't want to overdo anything. It's like what you were saying. How do we balance this out? So by reducing ultra-processed foods, you're going to reduce the omega-6s. And the thing is, we actually need a high amount of omega-3s. And when the incoming is too high on the omega-6s, then the ratio of omega-6 to 3s makes the omega-3s be too low. And so now we're just not in a healthy balance. So we need to just think about, yes, I need to, of course, look maybe to fatty fish because that's super helpful, and sardines and mackerel to get more omega-3s. But our plant sources, find places to throw ground flaxseed, put walnuts on top of your oatmeal or eat it as a snack. So those are great ways to get your omega-3s and really focus on those. And then when it comes to the omega-6s, you're probably going to get enough because they're out there. but really think about reducing your ultra-processed foods, and then that ratio is going to balance out a little bit more.
And the ultra-processed foods is, again, a common theme that we keep talking about. And
Right.
I don't know that there's a single redeeming value about an ultra-processed food. I've yet
Right.
to find one.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about processed fats. Trans fats
Right.
Are never good. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so trans fats, the main one I'm familiar with is margarine.
Right.
It's basically man-made, right?
Sure.
And there's really no redeeming value in those things.
None. And in fact, they have found that it's detrimental.
Right.
It is harmful.
Okay.
So what I wanted to be sure that everybody knew is that when trans fats were banned in 2021,
Okay.
the guidelines said no more than 0.5 milligrams per serving of trans fats.
Okay.
So, of course, all manufacturers that didn't want to have trans fats
I hear what's coming.
said, okay, I'm going to put 0.4 milligrams.
Of course they did, right? Okay, so now they can say on the label, 0 trans fat
Right.
because they're under that cutoff.
Right. 0.4 is, zeroes out to 0.
Mm-hmm.
But if you read the label of said product that normally would have trans
Right.
fats, you'll see partially hydrogenated XYZ oil,
Okay.
any kind of oil. So partially hydrogenated is trans fat. So that's
for
code.
trans.
There you
Okay,
go.
so they can say all they want, 0 trans fats. Again, look at the label.
Right.
And if it says hydrogenated, partially hydrogenated oil, bad.
That's trans fat.
Yeah, that's kind of diabolical. That whole and that kind of goes back to something else we've talked about. These major food companies are owned by the tobacco companies. And they told their scientists, and this has been documented in their corporate documents, or exposed in their corporate documents, they basically told them, make them less filling and make them addictive.
Yes.
And then do sneaky things like that. Like, let's get around these loopholes. Oh, we can't put it in there anymore? Oh, fine, we'll go 0.4 on it. So it's really despicable.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, oh my gosh. So trans fats, bad, always.
Always.
And then kind of subcategory of that is microwave popcorn.
Oh, yeah. Well, so we all know popcorn is a healthy snack. However, the little microwavable packets that we get, I've loved those things for years. They're so convenient, so yummy. Even though they have modified how those are made, those still don't have healthy fats. And, think about the lining of those packets. They're unhealthy.
Right.
Yeah.
So the lining has got some of the forever chemicals in it,
Correct.
I heard, right? The
Yeah.
PUFAs?
PFAS, yes.
Yeah,
PFAS.
PFAS, right.
Right.
Yeah, and you never want those.
You never
ever.
want those because they're in your body forever. Yeah.
They don't ever go away. They don't
Right.
break down. They accumulate. They accumulate in the environment. They accumulate in our body.
Right.
And okay, if someone loves salty, crunchy popcorn, they want to have a
Yes.
nice snack. You kind of gave me a really neat idea of how can I make some good, healthy popcorn that's quick and convenient and
Right.
in the microwave, because on the
Right.
stove, I gotta stand over it. It takes a little while.
Yes.
You got a secret for us? All right.
No. That's like we did that as kids.
Right.
Shake the
The
thing.
Jiffy Pop.
Yes. But no, you can now buy a glass container that
Okay.
has a silicone lid to it.
Okay.
And you put your corn in there, popping corn.
Right,
And
right.
cook it in the microwave. And then as soon as it comes out, put a little bit of sea salt or whatever kind of salt you
Right,
use, because
right.
a little's fine.
Sure.
And then maybe spritz it with avocado or olive oil, your favorite.
Okay.
Monosaturated.
Right.
And just enjoy it.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get too much into the details, but
Sure.
like a jar of Orville Redenbacher popping corn.
Sure.
Does it make a difference for the microwave or on the stove? It's the same corn.
It's the same corn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it really is.
It's popping corn.
Right.
Right.
So you just put it in your container, throw it in the microwave, and 5 minutes later.
That's it.
Oh, that's awesome.
When it does come to corn, though, I do recommend organic
Yes,
for corn,
sure,
for all
sure.
corn products, without getting in the weeds about organic
Right.
for everything. Corn is just one that you should try to buy organic corn products.
Right.
Better for
right.
you.
Absolutely. And if you're eating animal products that are fed with organic grains, but I don't know if that's even out there. I've been trying to find, I know we're getting a little off topic here, but I've been trying to find meat
Yeah.
that there is the grass-fed meat.
Right.
And I'll be honest, it doesn't taste as good. It doesn't have the marbling, and it's
Sure.
the grain that gives it the marbling and the fat and the flavor.
It's different.
And I have been trying to find, this isn't necessarily a quiz or question for you, but I've been trying to find some meats out there that are grain-fed, but with non-GMO organic grains that aren't full of chemicals and
Right.
pesticides. I haven't been able to find it
Yeah,
yet.
no.
I don't know. I would imagine it becomes cost prohibitive.
That's probably why it's not out there.
I would think so,
Right.
because the regenerative meats that don't have as much taste because they're grass-fed are more
Right.
expensive.
Right.
And then the better meats that are marbled and all that, they're not cheap.
No,
but
no, they're not.
I don't know. Maybe there's an entrepreneur out there who finds a niche. Meats
I
that
know.
are fed with grains
That's right.
that are healthy.
That could come. That really
Right?
could come.
Would that work? I'm just kind of thinking out
Sure
loud.
it would.
Again, I know we're off topic, but
No.
right?
But if you
gave
have
them-
organic,
Right.
grains that have not had, exposure to pesticides,
Right.
then that, cattle's eating
Right.
good feed.
Because that's why that meat is not as good for us. It's because what the cow is eating.
Right,
So the cow's
right.
eating better stuff. All right. If anybody out there can put in the comments if they know a
Please.
source for us,
Let
that
us
would
know.
be great. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have you on as a guest. You can tell us all about it. All right. So, any takeaway rules? If you had to just give us some basic, oh boy, this was so much to keep track of. Just give me a couple basic takeaway rules for fats and oils.
Right. Well, in the previous episode, we really talked about eating whole foods, and we touched on it this time. And when you eat a whole food diet, there's the benefit that you can add olive oil or, any kind of oil, avocado oil to your food. And we need flavor, we need the calories, we need the nutrients. But that fats are calorically concentrated, so this is one take-home point, and that a little goes a long way. So just don't be too generous with your adding of oil to your foods.
Something I've heard you mention a couple of times is you use a spritzer for your olive oil.
I do.
I'm always trying to drizzle it and it comes pouring out, but the spritzer, right, a great idea. So it won't clog it up. It works great.
Yeah, no, it doesn't, it doesn't clog up at all.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, Amazon.
So, yeah, right?
Oops.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos. Hook him up.
Sorry.
Yeah, no.
But,
no.
no.
I can't live without that because I need toothpaste. I order it. It's here tomorrow. It's too convenient. So how about you had a nice little recipe for us that we could use? I know one was using the spritzer for your salads and things like that. Please go ahead.
No. Well, right now I'm not coming up with a recipe.
Maybe I stole that one because that was one I think we talked about was the spritzer for your salads. Use the olive oil in the spritzer and as some spices and olive oil and vinegar. That's kind of the dressing I like the most.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Now I've got to get it kind of more organized, and I want to share with our audience about 8 or 9 salad dressing recipes that are all healthy and organic, and how to make a ranch dressing that's better for you. How to make a vinaigrette and different kind of vinaigrettes. Nice. So I'm going to fish that out. We'll get that organized and we'll get it out to our audience when the time comes.
Nice. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, good. The omega-3s, the good fatty acids, and if I'm not getting enough of my diet, or I'm concerned I'm not getting enough of my diet, what's the supplement I should take to give me my omega-3?
Yes, well, they're actually called omega-3 fish oil. Is typically what the bottles are called.
Okay.
Because when you are supplementing omega-3s, manufacturers don't get them typically from flaxseed or walnuts.
Okay.
They go ahead and they get them from the source where it's more concentrated, which is the fish. So it's fish oil.
Okay.
Now, that is a whole nuanced situation because, first of all, how the different fish oil companies manufacture their fish oil is important, and not all companies take the proper care that the fish oils are not rancid by the time we're taking them.
Oh my goodness.
So, there's a lot of checking up on fish oil companies by a lot of these consumer advocates, and they find that quite often. So it's important to get a good quality fish oil company. But what you're looking for is not what it says on the front of the bottle, but what it says on the back label. Labels. And that is, you want EPA and DHA.
That's what I was thinking of. Okay.
Right.
EPA and DHA. The one I take, that's all it says on the front. is
Perfect.
EPA and DHA.
Perfect.
Right.
And then when you turn it to the back, just as an example, if you're shooting to take 2,000 milligrams of good omega-3 fish oil, you want it to be 2,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA combined.
Okay.
So, the back of the bottle will say, as an example, each capsule or gel cap will have, and it's never like this, but 500 of EPA and 500 of DHA.
Okay.
Add them together, it is 1,000 milligrams of fish oil because
so it's a total. You don't have to have 2,000 of each.
No.
2,000 together.
Correct. And what happens is manufacturers know that people don't know it until now. Everybody knows it because we're talking about it.
Right.
That the fish oil component, which is a third ingredient, it's EPA, DHA, and fish oils. You're not going to get health benefit from what it says fish oils because that's just oil.
Right,
it's not active, good omega-3 fatty acid. So that is why they can, by law, say 1,000 milligrams per capsule. But if the EPA and DHA doesn't add up to 1,000 milligrams, then you need to add those up and take however many pills or capsules until you hit 1,000, 2,000, whatever it is your goal to take.
Gotcha. So can you get your EPA and DHA without having the fish oils in it?
The fish oil?
You kind of have to have that.
Probably not. Most manufacturers will put a little bit of fish oil in there, but the better ones will just put a very high amount of EPA and DHA.
Okay.
So that's another sign that you have a better company.
Right.
That they are putting a high proportion of EPA and DHA.
When I first started taking it, a lot of people may have experienced this. If you burp, you smell fish. So then I found the brand I use now, and it's also, like I said, it says EPA, DHA. It doesn't. I don't think it says fish oil on it. And I have to look again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been great stuff, Nora.
Good.
I thank you so much for coming on. You make me smarter just by sitting next to you. I know. I really appreciate it.
It's a lot of fun.
It is. And just learning all this and then putting it into practice and ultimately feeling better.
Right.
And I've said before, it's not that I want to live a lot longer, a little bit longer. I want to live better. I want to feel better. I want to feel well. So, but thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
I look forward to having you on again.
Sharing the good news.
We'll dig into some other topics. And I want to thank our audience for joining us. Nora's links to her websites and her emails and things like that will all be posted on the descriptions and in the website. And if I could trouble you, please, would you just subscribe? That would be awesome. It helps us build our presence, which of course allows us to start spreading the word even more. And if you want to like and share, that's even better. But if you subscribe, at least that would be wonderful. But really, I appreciate you taking the time to visit with us and listen to what we have to say. And I look forward to having you back in the future for more of what's real, what's raw, and what's unprocessed. Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Dr. David Sugar, a doctor here in Florida, and thank you for joining us on our podcast. A quick note, this is for educational and general information purposes only. Listening to this podcast does not constitute a doctor-patient relationship, and please consult with your own healthcare provider before making any changes to your own care. If you are having a medical emergency, please call 911 or your local emergency number. Any items, tests, medications that we talk about or discuss are for information purposes only and are not an endorsement. Once again, thank you for joining us, and please see the website for the full disclosure and waiver. Thank you very much.